All of us reach a point in time where we are depleted and need to somehow find a way to reignite the fire within. But how do we spark that flame? Welcome to Reignite Resilience, where we will venture into the heart of the human spirit. We'll discuss the art of reigniting our passion and strategies to stoke our enthusiasm. And now, here are your hosts, Natalie Davis and Pamela Cass.
Welcome back to another episode of Reignite Resilience. I am your co-host, Natalie Davis, and so excited to be back with all of you. And joining me, of course, is your co-host, Pam Cass. Hello, Pam. How are you?
I am fantastic. This is one of my favorite days of the year. I get to volunteer at Special Olympics. So I got a little bit of red because I was outside the whole day today with these amazing kids and family. And then I'm kind of giggling because you and I used to travel a lot together and we've both been busy. And so we've not. And so we did a conference this week.
Yes.
And in true Natalie and Pam style, there are always shenanigans that happen. And so I just want to share the story of how I was on a coaching call in our room and I had my AirPods in and you got stuck in the bathroom. The door, it was a barn door.
Yes.
And the barn door, and I had no idea this was going on. And
my gosh,
it's
one of those moments where you start to contemplate okay, what is going to actually happen? Am I going to spend the rest of the day in the bathroom? And I start anxious sweating. I'm like, I need to get out of here. And I'm using my entire body weight, broke 2 nails, trying to slide the door back, and it completely fell off the tracks. And I'm like, yeah, if it could have been a comedy skit, it totally would have. Yeah, I'm dying in the bathroom, and she's just to her. I'm just stuck.
The power of AirPods, I didn't hear a thing. I was completely laser focused on my client, and I come out and I'm like, what's all this white stuff all over the floor? Which was the drywall from the ceiling that had been
yes.
So
the door had, I guess in my Herculean strength, it scraped all the drywall off the ceiling. But you know what? The hotel staff was amazing. They came and quickly got it fixed. But yeah, for a moment there, I thought I was going to spend the entire day in the bathroom. I had a very anxious moment.
Yeah. So it just makes me laugh because when I was thinking about it this week, kind of processing our week together, I was just like, I think we have things happen on every one of our trips, and there's never any drama or anger or anything. It's always a lot of laughter because we're like, this just happened.
You just left the room for the day as if nothing happened. You were like, what is this? I said, it's drywall. It's fine. Let's go. We're good.
Let's go on to our next thing. We got things to do. So these are the days of our lives.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's the fun times. These are the things that this is why if you ever see me out in public by myself and I just start giggling in a corner all by myself, it's because I'm remembering these types of things. That's what's happening.
Oh, good.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have an amazing guest that's joining us today, and I am so excited to connect with her. I'm going to give it to you, Pam. Let our listeners know who's joining us today.
Absolutely. So today we have Victoria, the owner of the Unleashed Heart LLC. She is an advanced certified grief recovery specialist, self-published author, Reiki, Master Certified UMAP coach, which I want to find more out about that, certified biofield tuning practitioner, and end-of-life doula. Through evidence-based grief programs, life path coaching, her podcast, Grieving Voices, and distant healing sessions, Victoria offers holistic support to those who want to go from surviving to thriving. Welcome to our podcast. We are so excited to have you here today. And I think you have what you do is such an incredible thing that every one of us will go through at some point in our lives. And so I'd love for you to share with us what journey kind of got you to where you are today, because it's not something that you hear much about.
Well, thank you for having me. This is my first interview with 2 co-hosts. So this is fun. Yeah, so grief has been part of my life since I was a child. Mother, my mother's mother, my grandmother, had been diagnosed with melanoma when I was about 6 or 7, and she passed away. But she had lived with us for a short period of time, or stayed with us, um, and passed away. And within a year, because my father had also been going through cancer, and he was stage 4 colon cancer, and he passed away when I was 8. So by the time I was 8, my mother had lost her mother and her husband, and um, actually maybe 6 years before my grandmother, she lost her father because he died the year I was born. I never did meet him. So within a span of 6 years, my mother lost both of her parents and her husband, and there was a 5 year age gap between me and my brother, a 9 year age gap between me and my sister. And then I have a half brother who's quite a few, like 15 years older than me. So I was the youngest of four, and when my dad passed, and so I kind of had to just raise myself because I was kind of the latchkey kid, and my brother was off doing his own thing. He was a teenager, and so I raised myself essentially, and it was tough. Those were tough years, but also during that time, I had been molested, and I didn't share that with my mother until I was a teenager. And how she responded to that was remaining friends with that family, which was really hurtful. And I didn't understand that, that was something my 14-year-old brain just couldn't wrap my head around. So you can imagine by the time I was in my early 20s, I had a lot of resentment and anger. I was angry at God. I just was full of rage. um, I was in an unhealthy relationship 3 years too long. I was actually in that relationship for 5 years, but it was 3 years too long. And I had been abusing alcohol. Um, my life was kind of getting off the tracks. My license should have been suspended, but it was almost suspended. I should have lost my job. I should have been fired at that time because I was tardy a lot, or had to call in because I was hungover. Um, so yeah, my early 20s, I was kind of making up for my good girl persona that I had kept up as a young child because I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to add any stress to my mother. I kind of just became a lone wolf as a young child, and into adulthood, that translated into me not really knowing how to ask for help or even bothering to ask for help. It's this mindset that I can do it myself. I'll do it myself. No one's coming to save me anyway, right? And that really was to my detriment. And I did try. I did go to a therapist. I tried hypnotherapy a couple times, but that actually gave me the courage to actually leave that relationship. So that was a positive. Um, and yeah, it took me till I was 40. I mean, it was another 20 years before I actually discovered something that would transform my life and actually address my grief. Because when I was in the self publishing and editing phase, the editing phase of my book, I had another loss. Actually, my mother had told me my uncle had been diagnosed with brain cancer and he was in the hospital. He was the closest relative or closest sibling my father had. Like, they were really close. They were close. That was his brother. They were really close. But when he passed, when my husband, my gosh, I can't even find my words. When my father passed away, I also lost that entire side of the family. They were no longer in my life either. So in one fell swoop, I lost my dad, my grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole family. Fast forward 30 years, my uncle's diagnosed with brain cancer. I went in to see him, not knowing if he'd want to see me, if he'd remember me, but I just felt this. It was like this instantaneous draw when I found out he had cancer, that not even for myself, but I felt like he needed to see me. Like, he needed that closure. He needed something from me that only I could give him. Something from his past was like eating away at him. Like, I just felt this. I suppose I felt like maybe it was my dad, like, pushing me, like, you need to do this. And And so I went to see him, and what happened was we reconnected over the course of 6 months, and I felt closer to my father than I had since he passed. Um, I I just felt a lot of closure in that experience. I feel like he did too, and um, that's when I realized, yeah, this is grief, because it brought up everything from my past. And I think that's what happens for a lot of people, particularly around midlife. We have another loss, and we realize that everything we've long carried, all 40 years before, however many years into midlife before, starts to uh, take its toll. Like, we realize, we connect these dots, I think, that okay, this is really my issue. Now, whether we decide to take action on that is the defining factor, right? Like, am I actually going to do something about this, or am I going to do what I will I resort to what I know, and that is how to respond to grief, which is probably unhelpful or hurtful, because that's what we do. We resort to what we know, and what we know is what we learned from our parents and generations before. And usually that's, let's replace the loss, let's keep busy, let's be strong. I have to be strong for everyone else, be strong for myself. All these myths of grief that I think we all kind of fall back to, because that we don't know any better. And I definitely did that myself. And when you know better, you can take different action. Um, it's new knowledge, new information. That's how we make different choices and different decisions. I mean, you can still make the same choice and decision, right? That you always have, but there's a level of shame then, I think, to that, because um, not not necessarily shame. I think maybe it's even subconscious or unconscious, but it's like the fear just takes over. Like, you would rather sit in what's familiar, which is the pain,
Yeah.
than deal with the uncertainty of what it's going to mean if I actually address this pain, this emotional pain.
So when you went through this with your uncle, so you showed up and you had a period of time with him, and you said that was when you felt really close to your dad. Were there things that you learned, or is that kind of the catalyst that got you into the coaching and becoming a doula?
That didn't actually come for another 2 years.
Okay.
So I self-published at the time. When I was self-published my book, I had just been blogging. Like, that's when I really, like, my personal development journey started around 2014. And that's coincidentally when my youngest started kindergarten, and I was closing a business that I had poured everything into for almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of my identity had been wrapped up in being a work at home, stay at home mom, and having my business. And I was just like, what now? And I replaced the loss, and I told my husband, I said, I need a dog. I need a dog. And he thought it was the most ridiculous thing, but I came to him in tears, and I thought, this is going to save me. A dog is going to save me. It's going to give me a distraction. It's going to give me a purpose. I'm going to find the perfect dog. I'm going to train this dog so it's the best dog, because we had tried a couple times for what do you call it? Help me out. When you go to the pound and you try to rescue dogs, yeah, we had
Oh,
tried the
oh,
rescue.
rescue. Yes, yes.
Yeah, we tried to
Yep.
adopt a couple. We did adopt a couple rescue dogs, and that did not work out. My kids were young, kind of too young.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't know how to pick a dog, right? Like, I think that's 3/4 of the battle, is knowing how to choose the right breed.
100%. That's
Yeah,
the key
choosing
piece.
the right breed,
Absolutely.
the right dog, like, yeah, all those things. Like, yeah, the personality, right? Like, if you're not like an amped up, a lot of energy, ton of energy person that just loves to, like, go, 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 do not get a dog that loves to lay on your lap and not, or vice
Exactly. And not
versa,
go.
right?
Exactly.
If you're like more chill and laid back, do not get, like, like a German Shepherd or like a
Yes.
terrier.
Yes.
Yes.
They need a lot of,
Exactly.
or lab, I should say, probably a lab.
Yeah. Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
so I did get the dog. I did train the dog, and he's perfect, and we've had him for 12 years, and I'm gonna
Oh,
cry my eyes out the day he dies. Um, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so replaced the loss, got the dog. Life was good. And then I had another, like a friendship, like, like one of those people you meet that's like a kindred spirit. I think sometimes even losing a friendship can be almost harder. So it's one of the hardest relationships, I think, to
Yeah.
reconcile in your mind. Because oftentimes you don't get closure with that. You just are left hanging sometimes with not knowing what happened. With this one, I knew that in hindsight now, I know that it was my own projections. It was my own, where I was not where she was. Like we were on completely different planes of
path.
our growth
Yeah.
and spirituality and all of that. I was still playing catch up and she was further along. So yeah, I lost that friendship and I was like, oh my gosh, here I go again. It's like, here I go again on my own. Song played in my head. Like, what the hell's wrong with me? Like, I feel so screwed
Yeah.
up. Again, this is like 5 years, 50, 70, yeah, like 5 years after I've been really into personal development and stuff. I'm like, I'd taken every personality test known to man by that point. And again, it just comes back to this is grief. This is grief. I hadn't dealt with my uncle passing because that opened up a lot of wounds, right? And now this friendship, and I just feel really messed up. Like it's me. It's all me. And yeah, went to Google phone grief recovery, signed up, knew this was meant for me, and the training got canceled. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And it was like the
Wow.
universe testing me, like, how bad do you want it? So I went to Austin, Texas. I
Yeah.
spent way more and invested more than I would have needed to. I could have just said, screw it. I'll just read the book and try and heal myself, which I did. In between the first training getting canceled and the second, deciding to go to the second one, ordered the book that we use to facilitate the program. And it's full of doggy ears and post-it notes and highlighting. And I'm like, I'm going to help people heal. And I'm thinking like, I knew in the back of my mind this would help me, but it was like still I had this like it was a mission. Like I'm gonna help people in their grief
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
I got this licked. But get down there. I start first day. I wake up sicker than a dog. Both ends. And I was like, this is the universe again. Like, what the heck is happening? I'd met a woman on the tour bus the night before training was to start, and she was there for a life coaching conference. And we ate at the same place. Had the very exact same meal. I text her that next day and I'm like, I am sicker than a dog. Are you? And she's like, no, not at all. So, what I can surmise and what I've been told through the years that these people have done this training, there are always people that it's like the purge before the
Hmm.
purge, and that
Hmm.
what my body knew what was coming,
Hmm.
and I cannot even describe to you in that experience. It was like because when you go through the training, it's over the course of 4 days. Granted, it's an 8 week program, 9 week program, and we do it in 4 days. There's actually a 2 day, yes, there is a 2 day, like it's very condensed and you're drinking from a fire hose and you are processing, like it's like I could not even imagine. Like, so you're taking in all this information, but yet at the same time processing your own stuff because you're going through what you're going to be taking people through.
Hmm.
And it was like 30 years of anger and rage just came out in tears, and I didn't think I could cry anymore. I didn't think it was possible. And the person I was before I went there and the person I came home as were very two different people.
Wow.
And it was like a boulder had been lifted off of my shoulders.
Hmm.
That's literally what it felt like. I felt so light. And it's just been a peeling the onion ever since, because once that happens, once you peel off like this big layer, like it only reveals more. So it's, yeah, you really,
Mhm.
because you look at
There's no
all of,
going back.
there is
Yeah.
no going back. You can't unknow it. And
No.
I think that's it, and
Yeah.
it's a journey, I think, that now I will be on till the end of my days, right? Like, it's because relationships, we live in the context of relationships, whether it's your coworkers, your boss, your neighbors, your friends, your lover, your best friend, like whoever, right? Like, we are in relationship with people.
Mhm.
The relationship with yourself, your inner child. And then you can extend that out to like intangible things like money, body image.
Yeah. Fill in the blank.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So many
like,
things.
yeah.
And that's what I've used this work to help me process through, is those
Mhm.
intangible losses as well. Loss of
Yeah.
security, safety, like those were huge. Like, I lost those very early on, right? And so I had a lot to process and work through. And it's still, I think we're always a work in progress. That's the thing that I think people forget about healing, is that it can feel daunting, because when I say it's never ending, it's never ending. It really is never ending, because life continues to life. There's always going to be something to work on, or process, or people are a mirror. They are mirrors for us,
Yeah.
always reflecting back to us where we are wounded. And holy shit, did parenting not show me that? Like,
Exactly.
seriously.
Nobody
Yes.
prepared us. Nobody prepared us for that journey at all.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Victoria, so you went through this program, 4-day intensive. Looking back now, were there keys or things that were showing up in your life that you didn't recognize as suppressed grief?
absolutely. And actually, that's kind of what set off my personal development too, was that at the same time, I was just going from doctor to doctor and trying to figure out, like, I had physical manifestations. Like, so I had dropped a lot of weight. My iron was really, really low. My hair was falling out. I looked sick. Like, I looked like, yeah. And honestly, my self care, 3 days without showering, that was the norm. Like, it was like it's like a deep depression, but I don't know that it was depression, because maybe it was. I don't even know. But it was grief. That's what I'll
Mhm.
say. It was grief. You know what I mean? That's why I never said it like that. I never really connected that dot. But like, so I think too, like, maybe so many people think they're depressed, or that it's depression, but it's grief. How much of it is grief? Because trauma is what happens. Grief is what's left. And grief is the loss of hopes, dreams, and expectations. It's anything that you wish would have been or could be different, better, or more. And that's a lot more than just death. No one has to die for us to grieve. So if we think about that definition, probably grieving a lot. And we think of
Yeah.
when we're growing up as
Well,
children, losing that first dog or that first pet, and then the parents are like, "Oh, that's okay. We can get another dog." Right? Or,
Yeah.
your best friend as a child moves away. Well, that, yeah, it's gonna suck, but you'll meet new people, you'll make more friends.
yeah.
So we just keep collecting these rocks and we put them in our backpack, and each rock is just more weight that we're carrying, more emotional weight that we're not shown and given the tools how to process and how to sit with and work through. And children naturally know how to do that. Like, young children know how to do that. It's the adults that like shut it down because it makes them uncomfortable. They don't know how to deal with their own crap. So then we shut the child down. Like,
Yeah. Well,
don't talk about that. It makes me uncomfortable. You don't
yeah.
say it that way, but
Or, oh, put your tears away. It's fine. You're good. Toughen through. I think we've been programmed to just bury the grief and just move on because that's like your badge of strength. And I think we've come to this place where we feel like, well, I can't show my that's weakness. I can't show that
exactly.
grief.
I hid to cry as a child.
Yeah, I can't tell my friends that I am like, I may all look all put together on the outside, but I am just like crumbling behind the scenes because yeah, that's weakness, right? We're got this. So I think especially women, I would
Hmm.
say we've been in this new age where now we're in the workforce, and I think we've been trained, oh, there's no crying in the office. There's, so we just bury everything. And it
Or if
shows
you're
up, like you
emotional
said,
honest, then you're too
in
much.
you're too much,
Yeah.
you're too emotional. Like, oh, she's
Yeah.
super emotional. Like, you don't want to be. Yeah, it's a thing. When we don't deal with it, our body keeps the score.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Well,
it's just
we're
add
like
the
we're
score.
like a tea kettle. We either implode or we explode. So we either have physical manifestations, we can have migraines, we can have fibromyalgia, which I think
Yes.
is really just grief. We
Yeah.
can have all these different weird things, right? With they're idiopathic. They find no reason, no cause for them. And I think a lot of the times it's just grief or, heart. Like how many people die of a literal broken heart,
Heart.
right?
Heart. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Or we're exploding everywhere around us. We're angry at the checkout line. We're angry at our spouse. We're yelling at our kids. And that was me. I was angry. I had a lot of anger and I spewed it out and I projectile vomited my anger everywhere. We either implode or
Yeah.
explode.
So what are ways that, yeah, what are ways we can recognize it in ourselves when we're like, okay, I'm off a little bit. I wonder what's behind this. Are there things that we can look for? Are there things that you recommend we do either physically, emotionally, fill in the blank to help when you are feeling in that space?
Well, I think with self-aware, that is the key of any healing is self-awareness. We, like Dr. Phil used to say, we can't change what we don't acknowledge, right? It's so true. I mean, the first step I think is acknowledging it, that you have a problem, that this is an issue, that I am emotionally dysregulated. And why is that? What has happened in my life that is causing me to react rather than respond to life in this way? Why am I showing up to my relationships this way? What is happening within me? In fact, I mean, just like today, we have to give ourselves the time and space to self-reflect. I think and there's so much gold there. There's so much gold in just how asking ourselves, how did I get here? I'm looking at that personally right now with my fitness journey. I'm like up and I'm like doing awesome. I was just looking at my stats, like 39, 22 weeks, 39 weeks. I'll do a program. I'm doing awesome. Things are great. I'm feeling great. Life happens. I get off the train and I really get off the train. Right? Like that's been the cycle of my life. Like I'm really getting in, I get into fitness, I take care of myself, and then something happens and I totally self-destruct.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the pattern I'm working at right now. And I literally just went through my journal and I corresponded it, matched it up to my stats when things started to shift. And holy shit, my husband and my mother had a falling out. There was a lot of emotional stuff happening there. Um, just a lot of emotional different areas of my life kind of culminating all at the same time. I was going through health issues actually. My digestive system was like totally on the fritz and ended up having a colonoscopy, which I'm glad I did. Honestly, it was like, it probably saved my life because I wasn't due for another. So my dad died of colon cancer. So ever since I was 33, every 5 years I have a colonoscopy, and I've had polyps removed every single time. I feel like I'm running away from cancer. My grandmother died of melanoma. I've had a precancerous mole removed. So it's like, okay, I just trying to outrun it, right? So this colonoscopy happens, and thank goodness it did because it was a nasty one and precancerous, and it likely would have turned into cancer just because of the size and where it was and all that and the kind it was. And I wasn't due for another 2 years. So had I waited another 2 years, who knows? Who knows? Because I had one 3 years ago, and it was already to that size. It was already considered large. So now I'm going to go in 3 years instead of 5. but I'm just saying, like, I was having these physical things happening, and thank goodness I did, because I probably wouldn't have really, done anything, and or maybe connected the dots. I actually thought it was a irritable bowel flare up, but it was just going on and on and on. But anyway, that to say, I think it's important that we look at, we have to look at the past to see how we got to where we are, because it didn't happen overnight. It's these daily choices, these daily decisions that we make. It's like compound interest, right? Like every little bit. I mean, and it works with self-destruction too, right? It's these daily decisions that we make. So I think the only way to know, to get laser focused on what is the issue here, is to look at what's been the issue. And then how, finding support, getting a game plan. I've found support. I start in 2 weeks with my support system to get that back on track and really address like why I do the things I do when it comes to my fitness and self-care, really, in terms of my health.
Thank you for joining us today on the Reignite Resilience podcast. We hope you had some aha moments and learned a few new real-life ideas to fuel the flames of passion. Please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, like or download your favorite episodes, and of course, share with your friends and family. We look forward to seeing you again next time on Reignite Resilience.